Hey, thanks for joining me today. I'm glad you're here. My name is Jerrel. I develop video games for a living. Today I'm going to take a look at Spyro A Realm Beyond. This was announced a couple days ago. The trailer is on Nintendo's YouTube channel, and this is being developed by Toys for Bob. Now, this is pretty special to me because Toys for Bob is a development studio that I have the utmost respect for. These developers are fantastic, not just in terms of creating their games on a technical level, but their creativity, their artistry, the soul that they put into their games. I have so much respect for these people as artists, as engineers, as creators and developers. They are brilliant, and I'm so excited to see that they get to work on their own games now. And you might have heard of something called Skylanders. Now, I've got a couple Spyro Skylanders here. Here's a Series 2 Spyro. You got a Series 3. This one's from Giants. This one's from Swap Force. We also have the mini Spyro just there. This one's really cute. Look at his little tail. Look at his little wings. This guy's pretty adorable. Don't forget your Dark Spyro from Swap Force. And then we also have the legendary Spyro, or not legendary, this is Eon's Elites here. He's got the gold base. Pretty cool. And he's got a kind of metallic look to him. So Toys for Bob created Skylanders, and that is one of my favorite game series of all time. Now, I was an adult when Skylanders came out, and it looked like it was being marketed towards younger people, so I was not interested in it. I picked up one of the games because it was a couple bucks at EB Game, and I thought I'll just laugh at this little kid's game, and within 3 minutes of playing the game, I understood this is going to be one of my favorite game series of all time. So I have the utmost respect for these developers for inspiring that change of heart in me. I really believe in them, and I was furious. I actually still bear a grudge. They had Skylanders was canceled. Anything that we're working on was canceled, and they were forced to work on Call of Duty making DLC. And I was very angry, and I just kept my mouth shut. But I bear a heavy grudge that they were forced to work on DLC for the kind of game that is the exact opposite of what they want to make. And I'm not saying Call of Duty is bad. I'm saying, how dare you force some of the most creative people in the games industry, some of the most talented people, how dare you force them to work on something so generic and trivial as making skins for guns? That's all I'm going to say. I had to get that off my chest. But these are brilliant developers. Let's take a look. Okay, this is my first time watching the trailer. I've not watched it full before. I flipped through it a little bit, but I didn't watch it. So right off the bat, we get to see these fun little creatures, and I really like these creatures. They're so fun and whimsical, and it's very typical for Toys for Bob to have such a fun little creature. Now, the creature designs for Toys for Bob are generally very strong, and there's always some sense of internal logic and fun little flourishes. You can see the scales on the front of this little creature's feet here. I really like the swirl on the nostrils as it comes to the hole. That they could have just stuck a hole in the nostril and that's it, but there's these fun little visual flourishes. You can see the visual flow from these eyebrows, and I really like the layering on the feathers here, and it looks like there's some degree of subsurface scattering on the feathers. Subsurface scattering is a digital imaging technique that we use, or rendering technique, to simulate a sense of light passing into the mass of an object. The light bounces around, then comes out the other side. Now, if you want to see an example of subsurface scattering in real life, grab your personal handset, or PHS for short, turn on the flashlight or the torch, and hold it up to your hand, and then look through it like that. Hold it up to your fingers and look through it at the other side, and you will see that there's light passing through your fingers. You can actually see through your fingers a little bit, and that is an example of subsurface scattering, where light enters the mass of an object, bounces around, comes out the other side, and that allows these creatures to feel more organic, to feel more alive. And it's interesting that we are seeing more of those more modern techniques because they generally have a higher performance cost. But this is pre-rendered, so this is not gameplay. It's just giving a sense of the style of the game and its aesthetic. What I really like about these character designs, again, these creatures, is that they're not overly detailed. We see a lot of amateur artists and developers these days, and they tend to try too hard to pack so much detail in. When you see something that is just overly packed with detail, it's overly detail dense, that is the mark of an amateur artist that is not comfortable with actually creating something. And they're insecure. This is a very confident design. This is someone that knows what they're doing. You can see there's an expression of feathers through these little bumps, feathers through the wings that are not overly detailed, you know, they're not overly defined, but they convey just enough to us. Those little bits tell us, hey, there's feathers on this guy, but this is such a confident, these are so confident creature designs, and they're so charismatic and fun to look at, and it builds a sense of whimsy and fun with these. These designs and these environments like this here always feel so effortless, and Toys for Bob is, I don't know who on their team is doing the scene design for this, but if you pause at any point, there's never a frame that is compositionally boring. They've populated this scene in just a way to where the frame is always interesting. They're always breaking up the scene in an interesting way. Breaking the line is a artistic design philosophy, and they're so good at doing that. And that was such a smooth transition from this beautiful sunny day right into this stormy, you got some trouble tonight situation, scary creatures flying overhead, and the lights come on. Hold on, so the lights are not on during the day. Oh no, the lights are, I think the lights are actually on right now. Yeah. Check out the way that the lightning bolt comes down, and it just builds this visual connection to that tree right there. This is really strong cinematic direction here. Fantastic visual flow. There's something about Toys for Bob. I've played their games over the years, and they start out a little rough, and then they keep improving with each game they create. They improve more and more and more, and that's what I like to see. That's what I strive for with my work. I want my work to keep improving, to keep getting better. And Toys for Bob is, I think, should be an example that any aspiring game developer should watch Toys for Bob. They are an excellent example of how to make your work look effortless, because they strive to produce great work, you know. We see an example of the subsurface scattering here on Spyro's wings as well. It's interesting the way that the light passes through it, and it catches the shadows in an interesting way. And I think there may be a little bit on his lips as well, or if that detail is baked in, it's a bit hard to tell. This is still pre-rendered, so this is not running in real time in engine. It just has a high poly count, heavily anti-aliased or anti-aliased. Nobody says alias, it's anti-aliasing. So we get to see our first gameplay here, and this is just delightful. Okay, we don't get to see that much. Now I'm honing in on the water. It's very pleasant, especially what's in the shadow. I really like that deep blue there. The reason I'm paying attention to the water so much, I'm trying to see how visually complex it is. Water generally has a pretty high performance cost, and the more complex the water is, the bigger hit it has on the performance, the lower the frames per second will be. And it looks like the water is heavily stylized. It's not terribly visually complex. You don't see a lot under the water, and I think this is focusing on a more stylized, less complex look for the water, so that the developers can maintain a smooth, consistent, higher frame rate. Very pleasant. But that was interesting. See that reflection here? I'm just noticing that. It's very gradual, but it fades in there. Let's watch that fade in. Ah, interesting. So there is a limit to the reflection distance and angle. That is interesting. I'm not sure how they're implementing that. I'm not sure if I've seen another game do that, but this is assuredly an optimization to keep the game running at a high frame rate. And a game like this, especially in high movement sections of gameplay such as this, you need to maintain a consistent, smooth, high frame rate, or the experience will be uncomfortable for the viewer. But have a look at that. If this were sort of like, say for example, you know, a hyper-realistic game, they would have the reflections, there would be reflections visible right now already. But we don't see those reflections come in until it's at the right angle and distance, and you can see it sort of fade in like that. That is so interesting. I don't know how they've implemented that, but this is assuredly going to really help with keeping the frame rate high. That's an interesting optimization. Let's see here. The plants are interesting. You know, these are handcrafted. These are bespoke. You don't just, you know, download a photorealistic plant pack and stick it in there. These developers handcraft everything, so everything is cohesive and consistent. There's a sense of whimsy and fun to this world, and it looks like Spyro lit that bonfire. I'm not entirely sure what purpose that serves, but I already feel compelled, like I need to do it. Did he get a height or speed boost? He lit it? Oh, yeah. Okay, that is interesting. I like that. It looks like he got some kind of speed boost, so you gotta hit that. There's hot air rising off of it, and he gets a speed boost. That's cool. You get those sort of anime speed lines on the edges. I need more than 4 seconds of gameplay. You guys have to give me more than that. There appears to be, I don't know what sort of statue this is, but it appears to depict some degree of character. This is fun to look at. This is so delightful, but Toys for Bob makes stuff that's fun to look at. And of course, the other developers that worked with Toys for Bob on Skylanders, I have a lot of respect for them as well, but I'm so glad to see Spyro in a new game by developers that really care about what they're doing. Take a look at this fun little, what is this fun little guy down here? I'm going to cheer on these developers. I'm going to root for them every step of the way. Toys for Bob, 100%. Hey, you guys, can you take Skylanders back? And would you mind doing Skylanders again? Because I still have all the figures. So if you guys wouldn't mind making another Skylanders, I'd really like that. Anyway, I'm pretty amped for this. I'm going to support this studio and this game. I'll be picking this up immediately, and it's very seldom I will do that. But I want to support these developers. I want to play a new Spyro game. This is very exciting, and we don't even get to see that much gameplay, but this looks awesome. Okay, I'm kind of fired up after seeing this. It's so interesting. They've done such a great job here. Thanks very much for spending some time with me today and for watching the trailer and enjoying that. And if you want to check out my latest game, that's The Hero of Destiny Was Killed by the Final Boss. It's available on Steam and Switch. And in this game, the Hero of Destiny just failed in the final dungeon, and so you have to play as the NPCs. These guys have no legendary weapons, no magic. These are the shopkeepers, the blacksmiths, the bartenders, and now they decide, oh, we'll go and fight the final boss. So they all have a unique set of weapons and skills, and it's a little bit like a deck builder where all of the enemies are way, way stronger than you. They can immediately destroy you. So you've got to use these niche abilities of these characters to problem solve your way through the final dungeon. But there is equipment, there is leveling up, you can enhance your character's stats, and there's a battle coliseum as well. So something like this, I think, is very fun and interesting. It was a very fun game for me to make. It was an interesting logistical challenge, and I got to explore interesting story themes. So yeah, if you'd like to check out Hero of Destiny, that's available Steam and Switch eShop, and there is also a free version for Linux and Android devices, and I tested them on a bunch of different Android handheld retro devices, so go ahead and give that a go. Thanks very much. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Be well, everyone.